Hey everyone, my name is Charting Man Dan. I've been a full-time trader for about 13 years. I've been mentoring other traders for about 8 years. And in this video, we're going to be looking at one of those students, Joey, who goes by Junglefunk in our chat room. And he's going to be sharing with you all of the trials and tribulations that he went through as he transitioned to become a full-time trader.
So I got into trading when I was 26 years old and basically didn't have a firm career path going or anything like that, and didn't have any kids, and decided to go ahead and take the risk. So because of that situation, I was pretty fortunate in that I was able to just dedicate full time and energy to learning the markets right out the gate. So the plan was, I'm either gonna bust out and I'll lose the little savings that I'm starting with here, or I will stay afloat and keep on going. And here I am in year 6 and still going on. So that was how it all began. And as far as the journey, how it began, I wanted to be a day trader. So day one, my plan was, I'm gonna day trade a stock that I believe in fundamentally, and if it goes against me, I'll just hold on to that position until it turns green. And anybody who knows anything about the markets knows that that's quite foolish. In day one, I learned what a free ride violation was, because I didn't have the equity to be a pattern day trader, and then was trading with unsettled cash day one. And then I said, okay, well, I guess I can't day trade because I don't have enough money, so I'm gonna have to buy and hold. What is something good to buy and hold? And I ended up buying the top of Canadian MJ in January 2018. I went all in ACBFF, literally right at the top, and spent the next few months reading articles about how it was going to moon and this and that, and ended up riding it down 50%, losing half of what essentially was my net worth, and capitulated. And then that was kind of when I was at a crossroads and was like, okay, obviously what I'm doing is not working. I'm gonna need to either figure out how to do this right, or go on and get a standard job or something like that. So I got my first actual educational book on trading, and that was kind of the first step to learning how to do all this. And then I realized that there was so much more to it. So was kind of posed with the conundrum of, do I make this investment in joining the Chart Guys, or do I continue to do this on my own? And I was pretty confident that I would be able to figure it out eventually on my own. But I knew that if I did join the Chart Guys, it would increase my odds of that being the result of eventually figuring it out big time. So I'd been following Dan on YouTube, found him on Reddit, on the MJ subreddit, and ended up diving in and joining the Chart Guys. And turns out that ended up being one of the most important decisions I made in my life. So I joined the Chart Guys, and about a month in, I was talking to my partner at the time, and I said, you know what, my game plan, my goal is actually not to get rich right away. My goal is I want to become Chart Guys Junglefunk, and I want to be friends with Charting Man Dan. And some years later, I'm now Chart Guys Junglefunk and live about 20 minutes away from Dan. So it's kind of wild how, despite how crazy and unrealistic something may seem, if you put your mind to it and set those goals and visualize and shoot for the stars, you're willing to make the sacrifices and just not give up until you achieve your goals, then you're gonna achieve them eventually. So the journey has certainly had its ups and downs, as any trading journey does, and I'm still very much so see myself as a sapling in this bigger picture goal of mine, you know, and eventually someday I want to be a big 100-year-old oak tree or something like that, and I'm just a sapling trying to learn every day, trying to get better every day, not repeat the same mistakes, and that's pretty much been the goal of the journey from the beginning. Right from joining the Chart Guys, I showed up every day, learned, took notes, watched as much educational material as I could, and just got obsessed with the game, obsessed with the charts. And like a good example of that is I was not trading crypto at the time, but I would spend my evenings just watching Bitcoin and random altcoins tick around on the charts up and down, just because I was obsessed. You've got to get obsessed with something if you're trying to shoot for the stars and you want to be among the best. And that is something with trading that makes it unique in the sense that there's no minor league in the markets. Like if you're in the markets, you're competing with the absolute best in the world. So it's like you wouldn't go to a basketball court and ask LeBron James if he wants to 1v1 if you haven't really been working on your game. So the markets kind of give this illusion that you can just dabble around in there and have a shot. And like, sure, there's the random shot of getting lucky, but if you want to day in and day out execute an edge and come out on top, you've got to work as hard as the people that are coming out on the top. And that's probably been one of my biggest edges or advantages that I've given myself over the years, is that I'm working as hard as I possibly can. And I think a lot of people think that they're working as hard as they can, but we can all take it to another level. And that was certainly me. I was like, oh, I'm putting in 8 hours a day. I'm working as hard as I can. And then it leveled up. I was putting in 12 hours a day. I'm working as hard as I can. And like this past winter, for basically from when it started getting cold in November to now here in February, I've literally been going from the moment I wake up till the moment I go to bed. And there's something to be said about balance, and obviously that's not a very balanced life, but the way I see it is I can balance out when I have achieved my goals. So when I look at myself in the mirror and ask myself if I'm working as hard as I can, I know I am right now. And I know I can confidently say that there's no one out there putting in more time than I am right now. At the very best, they're putting in the same amount of time, because the only times that I'm not working on this stuff is when I'm sleeping. And obviously you need sleep to be able to stay sharp enough to operate in this game. So I'm just going to continue on. We got the warm season rolling in, and my schedule will certainly balance out a little bit as I get outside and get on the trails and play frisbee, bike ride, longboard, do all of that. But for now, it's grind time. I think one of the big things that has helped me along my trading journey is I historically have really just had an obsessive personality, whether it was playing hockey or drumming or longboarding or video games or whatever it was in life. I've never really had interest in being good at something, and frankly, I don't even have much of an interest in being great at something. Like anything I put my time into, I'm looking to be the best, and that has helped me along this trading journey, because that's just how I've approached things historically, and that's allowed me to put in the time, and not just the time, but the time with intent, because it's one thing to just sit at a computer and stare at the charts or something like that, but if you're not actually conceptualizing and pushing yourself to understand deeper, then those hours are kind of hollow. And I was really grateful to have a percussion instructor when I was young that kind of taught me what it takes to be excellent at something, and I've been able to apply that to different areas in my life as I move from obsession to obsession. And you know, who knows what the next one will be, but for now it's trading, and I'm just not gonna, no plans to let up anytime soon. One of the kind of understated difficulties of trading, I think, is that it really is a lonely game. You're just sitting at the computer alone, pushing buttons, facing the consequences or rewards of those buttons that you push. But being in the Chart Guys was definitely a game changer in that regard, because the community is so rich in personality and care and love, and we all work on this incredibly tough endeavor together. And it was kind of difficult to explain to my parents how thorough and just special these relationships were that I was building with these people on the internet, because they're like, oh, so you're just spending all your time with strangers on the internet and you're like really getting close? And I'm like, yeah, you know, you're at the computer working on this game for hours in and hours out every day, and there's a lot of time in between as you're stalking trades and this and that, and you end up just bonding with people, finding your like-minded individuals, and you kind of fall into a DM together and chat about everything in life, everything that you're going through. And I've ended up forming some incredible relationships, and my best friends now are all from the Chart Guys. And this past spring, two of my trading partners are Devin and Lamont, and they were coincidentally both getting married in the same area of the country a week apart. So I went on this wedding bonanza tour where I went and saw Devin get married at the end of April, and then that was in Southern California, and then popped over to Hawaii to see Lamont get married in the beginning of May. And I never would have thought that those were the types of relationships that I was going to form in this trading community. I thought it was just going to be people focusing up to learn this game, and you know, we're certainly focused throughout it, but there's so much more to the community than meets the eye. And that was crucial for me as I set out on what can be seen as an individual journey, but it's not. You work on it with your friends, you work on it with your peers, and it's not just the emotional support and everything from them. Like it's technical support. You have so many different eyes on the charts. You have people to back you up, give you advice. And a good example of that is when I learned one of my most precious rules in my trading game is I do not scale into futures positions, and I unfortunately had to learn that the hard way. I was scaling in to NQ, and things got super out of hand, and I became like paralyzed. I couldn't think. Everything I knew was out the window, and I literally, there's no better word than paralyzed for it. And I was able to hit up Devin and explain what was going on and just say like, man, I need help right now. And he was able to talk me through the technicals of what was going on, help work out a game plan to mitigate the losses and help the situation. And I'll never forget that moment. And if I was on my own, I don't know how it would have played out. Probably not as good as it did. And it didn't turn out good by any means, but it could have turned out way, way worse. And I'll forever be grateful for his assistance there and his tenderness in such a sensitive situation. And that's just kind of the type of stuff you can get from the Chart Guys. Like, ultimately you get out of it what you put into it. So you've got to open yourself up. You've got to chat with people, build these relationships, and really the limits on those relationships. They don't really exist. So yeah, ChartGuys is incredible in that regard. And I've been in one other trading group, and it was solid, and the technical advice and everything was good, but the family element of TCG is what really sets it aside from other groups, from what I've seen, and that is a common theme of what people talk about when they come and join. So, I mean, I obviously am biased, but I would recommend the TheChartGuys to anybody with full confidence, and come on in and check it out yourself and see what you think about it, and who knows, maybe it will change your life. So from one trader to another, I wish you all the best along your journey. There's no doubt that it is the hardest game in the world, just because it's not just technical, it's psychological, and it makes you really dig down to your core, find all of your weaknesses in your character, and forces you to improve on them, because if you don't, you won't make it in the game. So it's tough. Stay with it, and best of luck on your journey.